Hi all, well, welcome back to Labyrinth, the extended campaign, playing solo. This is my part 5. Right, so part 4 ended with me still scratching my head about this. And I went and asked the question, and unfortunately I posted the question on the Awakening page. Which I hadn't intended to do. I just wanted to post it on the actual main Labyrinth War on Terror page. I mean, I know, to be honest, this bot came within the Awakening, but I figured that was, also to be honest, I think these are just to do Awakening reaction markers. So maybe that's the place I should have posted it, but I felt like it should have been just asked in the main base game. So I went and reposted it there and deleted the comment. So unfortunately, I've not had a reply yet. And this is going to cause me more problems because while I was away, I started thinking I made a blunder here because this is auto recruit. When it's regime change, this is auto recruit, and I think I've missed that and thought about it wrongly. So I've been recruiting into Iraq here, and I think we've recruited 2 cells into Iraq that maybe should have been considered for Afghanistan. However, when I was watching it back there, I actually think that this might be okay, because if this up, and first of all, let's come back to this bit. So when you're looking through this part of the flow chart, you come to this one. Now I skipped by that saying, right, it's not. But if my answer comes back, my question was like, what does jihad success possible mean? It talks about it being in the future. I mean, if it's possible in the future, well, it's clearly going to be possible in the future. But it does talk about awakening reaction markers, right? And I think if there's awakening or reaction markers in there just now, it then means it's not possible. I think I've asked for somebody to clear it up for me, but I think while there's nothing in there, that jihad success is going to be possible in the future if there's no markers in there at all. But again, I need to wait on my question. That's part of my question as well. If there's nothing in there, or if there was just reaction markers in there which benefit the jihadist player. So either no markers or reaction markers, does that make that true that is then going to be just jihad success is going to be possible in the future and we would recruit into there? Well, hang on. When I say recruit, that's through this bit. So let's jump back to this. This is not telling you to recruit. So it's telling you that if that is true to what we've just said, then you would say yes to that and come to here. So then this says, among candidates, find travel to priority, movable cell adjacent. So travel to priority amongst the candidates would only be here if we've got this right and the jihad success is possible in the future there. It would only be there. When you travel, because we've not done that yet, when you travel, what's the restrictions on that? Travel purpose, move cells, set actives to sweeper, target any destination countries, special to adjacent or within same country. Automatic. No, hold on, Grant. Hold on. You're not thinking about it properly, because the candidates for this are going to have to come from this, and the only country that's, well, here's if we've got this right, the only country is Iraq that is possible for this. So that's where they would want to travel to, and then it says, is there a movable cell adjacent? And if there is, it'll travel to there. Because if it's adjacent, it's an automatic travel. So if there was a cell in the Gulf States here, adjacent to Iraq or Jordan, and we've got this right, then it would travel. There would not be a recruit. However, there's not. So we were able to skip by that. And even if it did go into this box, it would then be a no, coming down to funding moderate, no, cell available, yes, recruit. Okay, so then when we come across here, If this is still correct, then we're good, and we've recruited in Iraq twice, and everything's fine. However, if not, when I moved on to this one, if recruit, auto-recruit with best jihad DRM, well, this is an auto-recruit country, and I've got mixed up with regime change and Islamic rule, I think. So, if my answer to a question comes back that this is not a jihad success possible in the future, but I don't know. I mean, I still think it is, and I'm hoping my answer comes back. Yeah, if there's not an awakening marker there, then and as long as there's 1 to 4 cells more than troops, then this is jihad success possible in the future. So that's where you would stop, and that's where we would have recruited. If however it's not, it goes to there, and I skipped by this because I didn't realise about the auto recruit. And if that was the case, then these cells would have actually got recruited in Afghanistan. And I thought, oh no, and that scuppered my whole plan because, I've got the jihadist. He's only got 1 card left actually, so we might get away with it. However, he's got to play first, but then once he's played, we're hopefully going to disrupt his last 2 cells, and then and do what we wanted to do with our last two cards. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait on this answer then, haven't I? Well, we could look at the next jihad event. It is now. Was it? It was. I did leave it with the jihad's next event. What did we play the last time? Oh, we've got 2 in reserves. Ah, yeah, because this is poor. Yeah, we put a card in reserves, and we played Predator. No, but they've maybe played 2 cards since then. Is it my turn then? I don't think so. I mean, I was leaving it. I was trying to leave it in a state when I finished. That it was. No, I don't think I have. I think it is my turn. No, hang on. I'm going to have to find out. Hang on. Okay, actually, no, it is my turn, so I'll need to watch that. I was trying to leave it so that when I end the video, it's the jihadist's turn next. You know, I mean, I could start messing about with these and put it where it's going to be. You know, where it should be right now, it should be there. It's a US card, first card to play, but I'm probably going to forget that. But I suppose as long as I look back in the video. Now, does that right? Because they've got 1 card left, and we've got 2 cards left, and it's our turn. Well, they start first. You start with 9 cards each. We got a card discarded. So they started with 9. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, because they played 8 cards, and we played. We only played 6 cards. But if we play these last 2, that'll be 8. We played, and we got that 1 card discarded. Yeah, so I should really have 3 cards left. So I'm about to play 2, then it would be back to them, they're going to play the last card, then I would play my last card. But it got removed from my hand. That was it. Right, so it is our turn next. Well, that's worse, because that means I need to know the answer, don't I? Which is a shame, because we're set up good to do this, aren't we? Because all we need to do, we've got the 2 ops in reserves. We need 3 to disrupt in Afghanistan. We're going to play Opium, and we're going to play the ops first and do the operation first. Our operation is going to remove the 2 cells, gain us 1 prestige because there's troops there. Then the event's going to try and trigger, and it says play if Afghanistan has a cell. Afghanistan's not going to have a cell. This card's going to get done. So that works. However, if I've somehow got this wrong and these 2 cells should be in Afghanistan, then that doesn't work. So that's why I kind of need to wait, because I don't want to play this card. I'm not going to play this card if Afghanistan's still going to have cells. and it places another 3 more cells. But I could get rid of this card, I could bite the bullet and just play this for the 2 ops and do it that way. I'd like to know for sure, because then I think what I'll do is I'll play this card, do that, and then I'll keep this card. Now, I'm right in saying I can keep the card. I think I can either discard that or keep it or play it, obviously. So let me just look that up in the rules for sure, though. Right, I knew I'd read it somewhere. I was struggling to find it. It's in the sequence of play here, page 7. I think we looked at it before. Final US card. In any US action phase that the US side is holding only 1 card, it may play it, discard it without effect, or hold it. If the jihadist side has expended its cards and the US side holds its final card, resolve any plots and end the turn. Yeah. So I can hold the card over. And I wanted to say, well, that's going to be a bit against me because I'm only going to draw 1 less card. But no, I believe I still get to draw... I get to hold the card and I would still get to draw... we're down to drawing 8 cards, aren't we? So I'd still get to draw 8 cards. My interpretation of that was I would only get to draw 7 because I've already got 1 in my hand kept over. But let me just make sure I find that. Oh, there it is. It's on the same bit. Page 7. So, deal, it says, next, deal the jihadists and the US sides alternate cards up to the numbers indicated by the funding and troops track and begin a new turn. It says, deal the indicated number of cards to the US player regardless of whether the player is holding a final card per 5.24. There is no maximum hand size. So if I hold my final card, I still get to draw the 8 cards. So that's good. And I think that card's worthwhile keeping. It might end up being that I've got to get rid of that card next turn because I've got to hold off. I've got to get rid of a really bad card, But if that happens, fair enough. But it's not doing me any harm keeping this card, I think. Yes, I could use the 2 ops to do something else, but, Right, okay, I'm trying to stall here in the hope that somebody's going to answer my question, but... because, I do feel like I'm stuck, or I've just got to make a call for myself if it comes down to it. Let me have another wee look, and hopefully somebody's got around to trying to tell me what's what. Right, I still haven't had an answer, but I looked a bit more, and I think I've found sort of clarity. Although I have to agree with this guy that's posted this comment. It says Jihad bot contradicts with 12.3.8. And 12.3.8 is the one that says you can't do a minor jihad in a poor country. And this is what confuses everybody because it talks here about this and it's not very clear. I think there should have been something, whether there is something written in a errata or whatever. I don't think this explains it clear enough. When you get your head around it, yes, maybe, but I think it could have been better. And there's a few people scratching their head about it. So anyway, this is this thread, and he says, in the Jihad bot on the op chart, the first step is recruit poor moves on with 1 to 4 cells. This would never happen if you follow 12.3.8, which says never perform minor jihad in countries with poor governance. Should we change the op to say major? That would make it clear as well, but I don't think that they can do that because, this guy replies where JSP takes into account only the total bonus / malice given away by awakening reaction markers. That's it there, and it does tell you that in the note there. It does sort of say that in the note. I just think it's a bit messy. So, so further down, just looking further down, and this is where I'll go to the thread where the actual designer's words were, but we looked at that already as well. But this guy came in and said, he said, I'm a little late to the party, but I'm curious if it was ever resolved. I played my first solo game today and ran into the same problem. I tend to read the rules like a lawyer and played this by the letter. No minor jihads by the bot in a poor country. Thus, jihad success is not possible because it can't be even be initiated under 5 cells. That's what's confusing. I'm still unclear if this is intention. I'm playing the base game. So, but the reply here is quite nice and clear. Again, they say the GSP is just a condition to see if the recruit should be performed in that space. It then carries on, and this is quite worded nicely, I think. Even though the bot would never actually perform a minor jihad in a poor country, you check to see if the die roll modifiers are such that if a jihad roll were made, would it be possible to get a success? If the answer is yes, then that step in the bot chart is satisfied and the bot will recruit there. So that does say is that we were right, and we've been recruiting in Iraq properly, because that takes preference before you get to that's the first step in this part of the flowchart. The op flowchart is the first step, so that targets Iraq, you know. Now, you know, I mean, it talks awakening and reaction markers, but I mean, there's other things. You know, it says can a jihad success possible in the future? You know, how I guess what you've got to take from that is, and if you think about it, we're recruiting cells into there so that to make it possible, you know, so it does make sense by recruiting them into there. Let me just see if there's any more. And this was the other, well, it's about a travel 2 question, but again, it's got the poor Muslim with 1 to 4 cells and the confusion there again. And this must be the designer of the solo thing, I think, Adam. But I think we looked at this reply already. It was linked to some other thread. Jihad success possible is only a reference to the reaction and awakening markers in the country. You are correct that the bot won't try and minor jihad there, but this is just a check to see if the bot should try to accumulate cells there for a future major jihad attempt. If there are too many awakening markers, then the success of the potential future attempt would be impossible, so the bot will focus elsewhere. Right, and what I can't get my head around is how many awakening markers determines it being impossible to get. I'm sure that'll come to me when we start messing about with awakening markers and that. Okay, so I think we can carry on without needing the answer to my question, and to say that we have been doing that right. So hopefully that's the case. Well, I want to play the game anyway, so I'm just going to push on. Hopefully we've got it right. Okay, so we've got our 2 cards left. So yeah, I'm going to do what I've planned to do. I'm going to do a disrupt operation. So I'm going to play this card, Opium, for the 2 ops, and because I get to decide how things this event would trigger, we need to trigger it and see if it's playable. But I'm going to do it in the order of using the operations points first. So I'm just going to put the card down there, Opium, and we're going to use these 2 operation points. Where then, I mean, we only need 3, but you have to spend both of these. That's my understanding. So I'm going to use my 2 reserves as well. So we've got, but you can only have a maximum of 3. So we've got 3 ops. We're now going to do a disrupt operation in Afghanistan. We need the 3 ops because it's that poor. And we're going to, cause there's 2+ troops. It's going to affect 2 cells and add 1 prestige. So affected cells go active or already active are removed. If no cells remove cadre. If last cell removed, place a cadre. Right, so these 2 cells are active. We're going to remove both of them. Now I'm assuming that card, it does just say if it has a cell, and it's not a cell, it's going to be a cadre. I'm taking that word for word. Right, so these 2 cells go back. We get 1 prestige up to 6. Good, because we had troops there. And because we've removed the last cell out of Afghanistan, we need a cadre marker. Right, not sure where they are. Oh, there we go. Right, so a cadre marker in there. Which means that they can still recruit into there. mean, I don't know how you get rid of that as such, but maybe there's. Oh no, yeah, you can disrupt that as well, can't you? Yeah, of course. Sorry. Remove cells or cadre, game proceeds. So I could do another disrupt and remove that cadre, and then they can't recruit into Afghanistan. Now remember, there's other ways of them getting cells in there, just by placing cells. I mean, this card that we're just about to look at now just says place 3 cell. Sorry. No, that says place 3 more cells. That's different, right? Right, okay, so now we've done our operation, so now we come down to trigger the event. Opium, drugs, finance, Taliban. Play if Afghanistan has a cell. Place 3 more cells there. Then if at Islamist rule, place all available cells there. Well, Afghanistan does not have a cell, so that card's not playable, so that's it. Done. And that's how I'm reading that it can be done. So that's the clever things that you can do, you know, and it makes a difference in what order you do things sometimes. Okay, and then for my second card, I'm going to choose to hold this card in my hand and keep it for next turn. So that's me done. My turn is over. That card has been played. And now we've got one more card of the Jihadist to play, and might as well just get that done. Give me a second. Right, okay, so let's get the last card. Right, it's an unassociated event this time, but remember... Oh, that's the other thing. The Jihadist player, when he saves reserves, they don't get removed at the end of the turn. You don't lose them at the end of the turn, whereas we do. If we don't use our reserves by the end of the turn, they just get wasted. It goes back to 0, but not for them. They get to keep them. So in some ways, it's quite good. This is stopping him from getting these two reserves, because this is a jihadist action phase, and this is a non-US event, and it's not playable because the door of each jihad was closed. There we go. So it's just going to be used for the 2 ops. All is the card Iran, sheer regional power active. You can see, because it's unassociated, there's 2 parts to it, sort of highlighted. You can see the bottom bit is if jihadists play. So if we played it for us, select and test the Shia mixed country. If US play, that bit is done anyway. Select and test the Shia mixed country. Then if it's a US play, we remove 1 cell there or from Iran. And if it was jihadist playing, we make 2 jihad rolls there, ignore failures or shift to Islamist rule. Okay, so it's not going to do any of that. It's because we've got that card in play stopping the events. So it's going to use the 2 ops. So again, as it would be a playable non-US event. However, the door is stopping it from being playable, so it classes as unplayable. So major jihad success at poor possible. Well, they're getting there. We've got 3. Remember, they need 5. So again, yeah, I mean, it makes sense recruiting, and it's quite possible it's going to recruit there again, I think. So that's a no. Funding is tight. No. Selling good or fair. No. So poor moves on with 1 to 4 more cells and troops and militia where GSP is possible, where jihadist success is possible. That is a yes. And like I say, if we had 1 awakening marker in there right now, I wouldn't be sure. I need to work out the die rolls, I think. I'm not sure if it needs to have more than 1 for it to... I want to say it probably needs 2 or 3. I can't quite work it out yet, but maybe somebody will comment on it. Or maybe somebody will answer my question and say exactly all this to clear it all up. But anyway, so we think this is a yes. So among candidates, find travel to priority, movable cell adjacent. Well, the travel to priority would be Iraq. There's no cells adjacent, so we can't do that. That's a no. Funding moderate, no. Cell available, yes. Recruit over to here, and we're going to recruit in Iraq again. Right, the card was a 2 ops card. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and they're going to try. I mean, if they get 2 successes here, then they're sitting. Right, they've only got 1. Remember, it needs to be a 3 or less. So they get 1 success. 1 more cell comes down into Iraq. That's them up to 4 now. So you need to watch. It's 5, isn't it? It's 5 they can do the major jihad. Well, 5 more cells than troops. However, this is going to be coming at the end of the turn. So, right, that's that. And they only had 1 card. So the card's done. And like I say, they don't get to steal these points for reserves because they had to play the card for the points anyway. Okay. Right, there's an end of... Now, where is it? Is it not in the... Yeah, it's in kind of small print up there, isn't it? Well, there's new end of turns as well, to be honest. These are the new ones that come with Awakening, but we're not into Awakening yet, so I don't think they apply, but you can see they are. Well, maybe I can grab it. Maybe I can just get it and... There we go. Right, so is that definitely where we are? End of turn. Turns, final US card. At the end of each turn, drop. Yeah, it's going to tell me here in the rule book. So it says -1 to funding. Right. So we go on there. Funding drops to 8. Jihadist funding. Right, and then -1 prestige if... Oh, yeah, that reminds me of a mistake. I spoke wrongly about something. It says -1 prestige if any country under Islamist rule. So there was another reason to get Afghanistan back to... But I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody probably starts off by putting Afghanistan back out of Islamist rule, I think. Yeah, well, just move on to the next step, Grant. So there's not anything in Islamist rule, so no... And then it's +1 to prestige if the net world posture is 3 and the same posture as US posture. Right. Right, well, it's not. This would need to be at 3. And then we get a +1 to a prestige. Now, the thing I spoke wrongly about that last time, I was going to put a comment in the header of the video, but so no doubt somebody might mention it. It's when we were doing... It was when we were rolling on one of these, I think. Yeah, it's when we were doing the prestige roll. So it says roll a die and you modify the die roll by -1 if the global war on terror relations penalty is more than 0. So that means it's at 0. That would mean it's at 0. That means it's at -1. And sorry, that would go soft. That means it's at -1. And I said there'd be a -1 die roll to that. That's correct. But as far as the way I'm reading that now is, that's at a -2. Right? That's at a -2, but it's still just a -1 in that die roll. That's at a -3, and it's still just a -1 in that die roll. Now, I think when that comes into play, I want to say, is it with the War of Ideas, maybe? I think it's in here. I think that's what I was getting confused about. Yeah, that's it there. See, the die roll modifier for the global war on terror relations penalty could be 0, -1, -2, or -3. And that would give a modifier for that. So if that's a way down there, then we've got a -3 penalty die roll modifier to our war ideas. So I mean that makes it really hard to do anything. In fact, is it not impossible to do? I mean, a 6 -3 would be 3. Yeah. So a 6 -3 would be 3, so you're not going to have an effect. So I mean, you would need, if you've got an aid marker in there, it gives you a +1. If you've got an adjacent good ally, you would get a +1, just a maximum of +1 for that. So anyway, that's something I noticed I had spoke wrongly about, and I didn't realise until the time. Right, okay. So what else finishing out the turn? What else we got? Zooming up there. Remove lapsing events. Right, so the door of Etijad was closed, was a lapsing event, so I remove that. It just goes in the discard pile, I assume. So I've taken that away. And then deal new hands, and then regime change to tan. Okay. So I'll deal the hands in a second, but that turns over to the tan side now. Like I say, it's to do with the end of game, I think. It's just to state that you played it on that turn. I think while it's green, there's different restrictions on things. Right, and then we're going to deal new hands. Okay, so I think they're still getting 9. Yeah, because the funding marker's still in the 9 column. We're only getting, because it's in the war column for the troops, we're only going to get 8 cards. Remember, we saved the card anyway. So let me grab a bunch of cards and just deal them out. 1 to the bot, 1 to me. Well, you don't need to see this one. 1, 2, 2, 4, 5, 6. Right, 8 each. Sorry, no, he's getting 9. He's getting 9. I'm getting 8, but I'm going to have 9. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 plus the Ethiopia strikes, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've got 9. Okay, right, and then we just start again. I suppose that would have been a decent time to have ended the video, but I'm only 31 minutes, so I'll just bash on now. Yeah, okay, so, well, yeah, it's them to go first again, isn't it? Even though they finished the last turn, it just goes back to the same, doesn't it? Turn ends, a new turn begins when each side has expended the cards. Each turn follows the sequence. The jihad side plays 2 cards. Yeah, so they just, even though they played the last cards of the last turn, they're just going to start off with this turn, which could be kind of nasty, because if they happen to be another cell in Iraq, then they might have a go at a major jihad there. So, right, here goes. Now nothing else in the tracks changed, did it? I'm just looking there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 poor countries. No, 6 poor countries. Yeah, that's at 6, and we've only got 2 fair countries now. That's at 2. There's no Islamic rule countries, and there's no good countries. So that's something we could do with starting to work on as well. But anyway, here it goes. First card for the jihadist player. Right, it's a US event, so it won't be played. Mossad and Shin Bet, Israeli Security Services. Play if any cells in Israel, Jordan or Lebanon, remove them all. Don't know, that would have been nice. There's no cells out there anyway yet, so. Okay, so it's going to use it for the ops. Where are we? That's our full chart. Oops. Right, so yeah, I don't think anything's changed. Well, I mean, there's no cells at all in Afghanistan now, but major jihad success at poor possible. Not quite. We need 1 more cell in there, which they might be getting, because they're going to get 2 rolls at this, aren't they? Funding tight, no. Selling good or fair, no. Poor Muslim, no. 1 to 4 more cells, yes. I'm going with this now, yes. But there's no cell adjacent to that to travel into there, so that's a no. It's funding moderate, no. Yeah, funding's still in this same bit. It's funding moderate, no. Is there a cell available? Yes. Recruit, it's going to come to here, and it's going to recruit in the same place. So it's going to recruit in Iraq again with 2 ops. So 2 dice, looking for a 3 or less. And it does get 1. So here we go. So they get 1 success, brings down another cell, and now they've got the 5. Okay, that's a card done. They're going to draw the next card. So Here we go. There's another US card with 3 ops. Right, all these probably good events that I'm not getting to see. Mass turnout, peaceful elections, play if there is a regime change country, improve its governance 1 level. Okay. Regime change country, yeah. Alright, that would have been good for Afghanistan, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. So again, they're not playing that, but I think we're going to have a major jihad attempt this time. So, playable non-US event, no. Major jihad success at poor possible. Well, I think that's a yes, so we're going to go for a major jihad. So let's just double check. Where are we? That's the US one. Right. So major jihad. Purpose to establish the Islamic rule. Right, the target needs to be a non-Islamic rule Muslim country with 5 or more cells. 5 or more cells than troops. 5 more cells than troops. There's no troops in here. There's 5 cells. It's a poor Muslim country. So it's going to happen. So first of all cells in the target country go active. Okay, that's them active. So we proceed per minor jihad, except 2 successes or 1 success if besieged regime. Well, it's not besieged regime, so we need 2 successes, and then the governance will go from poor to Islamic rule, alignment to adversary, removal regime change, besieged regime, and aid markers, add resources to funding of troops. Right. If it's a major failure, if 3 roles at poor fail to shift the country to Islamist rule, shift it 1 box towards ally and place besieged regime. Now, hang on here. Roll 1 die per op value. Yeah, but could we have done that? If this was just a 1 card operation, this wouldn't be possible, would it? Because we need 2 successes and there's no besieged regime marker there. And if it was a 2 ops card, we would need to roll 2 dice and both would have to succeed. However, they have got lucky where it's a 3 ops dice, so they're going to roll 3 dice and they need 2 successes. If they get, it says major failure, if 3 rolls at poor fail to shift a country to Islamist rule, shift it 1 box towards ally and place besieged regime. Okay, so that's only if they get 3 failures, is it? Right, well let's see if they get the 2 results. So they need, they're rolling 3 dice, and they need a 1 to 3 on all the dice. Well, or 2 to 3 dice. There we go. Oh, damn, I've got it. Okay, so that's a failure, and these 2 are successes. Now I want to say, yeah, I think I might be looking at the rulebook for this. 8.4.2. 8.4.2. Season number 2 is 5. Each successful roll removes 1 aid. Okay. Shift all supercells there to active, then 2 successful rolls on a single card, worsen governance for pure Islamist rule. Right, okay. So, I'm going to read through this, but... So, they have taken Iraq. It says each successful roll removes 1 aid. We've not got any aid. Note that with the exception of besieged regime, a 2 or 3 value card is needed to get to Islamist rule. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, if I only had a one ops card, this wouldn't even be getting tried, would it? So failed jihad. Each failed jihad roll removes a cell to the funding track. Do not place a cadre. So we are gonna There was one failure, so that comes away and goes back on the track. Another four. They were all active, but that was a failed roll back to the track, right? Whenever the jihadists roll 3 dice for jihad in a country already at poor and fail to shift it to Islamist rule, that's when you place a besieged regime marker, and you also move it to ally, don't you? We would move it one step to ally, but they succeeded, eh? So whenever governors shift to Islamist rule, mark alignment as adversary. Okay, so it would automatically go to adversary if it hadn't been there, which it was there anyway, so that's fine. And remove any regime change, besiege regime, or aid markers. Increase funding by that country's resources. If troops are present, set prestige to 1. The troops remain. Wow. Okay, so that's when you don't want troops lying about there. If there's a risk of that happening. Right, the funding was going up by... it's the resources of the country, and Iraq's got a resource of 3. So, it's going up by 3, the funding. Well, it's down at 8 anyway. It's only down at 8. Is that right? Increased funding by that country's resources. So it's going to go back up to 9. It just went down to 8. It's going to go back up to 9. It's not Pakistan, because that's when WMD come in. That's it. That's all we do. That's it, done. One thing to do is track that. So that was a poor country and it's now Islamist rule, so that doesn't change that. However, it does mean that they've now got 3 Islamist resources, 1, 2, 3, which is not good. Okay, there we go. That was kind of nasty, wasn't it? Yeah, well. Right, that's both jihadist cards played. They get discarded. And it's over to us. Right, I've not looked at the cards yet, so I'll lay them out and we'll have a look. Right, well, that was quite interesting. This was the card we kept back. However, we drew out of our 8 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them were US cards. 1 unassociated and only 1 Islamist card, jihadist card, sorry. So, yeah. Now, I haven't sort of looked through them all yet, so what we got, jihadist line, place a cell in the Philippines, while Abu Saf is in effect, US may deploy there, and -1 prestige for each plot placed unless troops outnumber cells, blocked by moral talks. What's a cell in the Philippines? So this is marked and then removed from the game, so it's an event that gets marked, and it would get blocked by moral talks. My take is that if we play moral talks, it then cancels the effect. So place a cell in the Philippines while Abu Saif is in effect. US may deploy there, but we get -1 prestige for each plot placed unless troops outnumber cells. Is it for each plot placed in Philippines or just for each plot placed? I'm not sure. Right, this one. Play if a Shia mixed country has cells and troops. Well, that's not playable at the moment. And remember, it's Shia mix as well. Remember, there's 2 different types of Muslim country. So, anyway, if US play, remove up to 2 cells. So, again, are we Are we having to remove the 2 cells from the country, the Shia mix country? Well, I'm sure they are, same as that one. I'm not sure if it's linked to the actual country. If jihadists worsen governance one level, not to Islamist rule, yeah, it must be based on the country that you're targeting. Because that doesn't say either, does it? Just says worsen governance one level, not to Islamist rule. Yeah, it's a bit strange, the wording. I suppose, would have felt like the wording should say, in that country, worsen governance one level, not to Islamist rule, but maybe that's just common sense. I'm not great with common sense. Said that before, so. Right, what we got here, right, these are the 2-3 level, 3 ops ones. Pakistani offensive. Play if Pakistan ally, and marked with Fatah, remove Fatah. Okay. Well, Pakistan is not ally, and it's not marked with Fatah either, so I'm not sure. Yeah, we're just probably going to be using that for the ops. I can't see. Well, unless the jihadist player happens to play that Fatah, maybe. So maybe keep hold of it throughout the tournament, possibly, unless we need it. But 3 ops, right. NATO, play if global on terror penalty is 0. Well, it is just now. And a country has regime change. Yes. Place 1 aid and NATO there. NATO is 2 troops. If it deploys, remove it. If it deploys, remove it. Place 1 aid and NATO there. NATO is 2 troops. If it deploys, remove it. Yeah, okay. A little unsure there as well. Saddam captured. Play of troops in Iraq. Well, there is. There's Iraq's Islamist rule. Place 1 aid there. +1 prestige. Block Saddam and modify FRE's event. Okay. Not really finding all these terribly clear. Intel community, inspect jihadist hand, conduct a 1 value operation. You may interrupt this action phase now to play an extra card. Right, there's going to be some info on that, I think, in the bot rules. Ethiopia strikes, well, we know that one. CTR, that's what we were talking about earlier. And Tim had said there's an event that places one. So play if US soft, well, it's not just now. Play CTR in Russia. And if ally or neutral, Central Asia, it blocks loose nuke and Kazakhstan. Well, we already seen one of the cards go by, didn't we? Although it's in the discard pile, so we're unlikely to see it again. Moro talks, test Philippines -1 funding, block Abu Sayyaf. So we've got the Abu Sayyaf card, and that's a Moro talks card. So that should be able to work for us, no? Yeah, we can play that first, and then when we play the Abu Sayyaf card, it's not going to trigger. Sorted. Okay. But that's all very well looking at events. We've got an Islamist rule country to try and deal with. I did want to glance at these events just on this card though first, so give me a second. Right, so the only card that's got some information is, like I did think this would be the case, Intel Community, inspect the jihadist hand, conduct a -1 value operation. So hang on, we play this, if you play this for the event, well, let's clear up the inspected jihadist hand first. So it's card number 18. And it says jihadist bot hand is not inspected. So we wouldn't get to do that. So is it worthwhile playing it for the event? Conduct a 1 value operation. You may interrupt this action phase now to play an extra card. Okay. So Am I right in thinking we play this card, whether it's our first or second card, I don't think it matters. If we play this for the event, we get a 1 value operation. I'm assuming we could probably just chuck that in reserves as well, and then we could then step in and play another card, and get to play 3 cards this turn with that. Does that sound right? I think so. But we don't get to look at the Jad's hand, so that's fair. Right, and the rest of the cards, there's no any special instructions. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. There's a few cards there with wordings that I'm maybe gonna have to look up, make sure I'm getting it right. Okay, so I'm saying it was him to go first. He's been, isn't it? So yeah, it's my turn, isn't it? Okay, what are we gonna do then? Are we gonna get right in and try and the thing now is we've done the regime change in Afghanistan, so it's 6 troops. If we brought in another, well, in fact we can't. We've only got 5 troops. So there you go. So we can't do that just now. So how do we go about getting our troops back? Is it just a deploy thing? Maybe? I mean, there's a withdraw, but you need to be, I was looking at that earlier, you need to be soft posture. I think. US must be soft. Remove troops from regime change, so it would then deploy any number of troops out of target country. Remove all aid markers, place prestige regime, roll prestige as well. So, right, but what about deploy, move troops? Target can be an ally Muslim country or the troops track. So I'm thinking about so treat troops track as good 1. If from regime change country, must leave at least 5 more troops in cells. Unless withdraw. Well, we've taken out all the cells, but means we can only move one of the troops. Well, we do have 2 troops in Gulf states and 2 troops in Saudi Arabia. So if we target the troops track, can they come from anywhere then? Troops move any number of troops from one location. Okay, so you can't. However, moving them back to the track is good 1, so it means we could use a 1. It's a 1 ops card to move maybe 2 of these troops back. I'm assuming we can't move them to. Yeah, it's got to be an ally Muslim country. No, you can now. We could move them to Iraq, but what good does that do? We want them on the troops track to do the regime change, don't we? Yeah. Well, I don't know. Or should we concentrate on some other things? I don't know. Right, so I'm wondering again about this NATO card. Play if global and terror penalty 0 and a country has regime change. Okay, place 1 aid and NATO there. Now that specifically says that it's going there. So NATO would go in there, and there's the marker for NATO, and you can see it's like 2 troops. And, well, it tells you on the card as well. NATO is 2 troops. But then it says, if it deploys, remove it. Okay. So they're just counted as 2 troops. So if we were to deploy them, like to move them about somewhere, then we would just remove it. However, that would be good to put, because if I can put that in there, in Afghanistan, then I need to leave 5 more troops and cells. There's no cells there, so I'd be able to leave. I'd leave that and 3 of the cells, 3 of the troops, and I'd be able to move 3 troops back then. So that's quite nice. I think I should maybe do that. Right, so and I don't take troops off the track to do this. This just counts as 2 troops, doesn't it? I assume NATO is 2 troops. Okay. And then I was also looking at Saddam captured. Place of troops in Iraq, there is. Place 1 aid there, plus 1 prestige, so that's all quite good. And then it says block Saddam and modify FRE's event. So the block Saddam means that the Saddam card can't be played. The modify FRE's event, but I'm not sure I fully understand, but there's the wee counter for it. It just says FRE's 2. And Saddam captured, obviously. I think the bit in brackets is the one that's what it blocks. It blocks the card Saddam. Yeah, that's right. So that would be quite good too. So how about, just in case they start putting cells in Afghanistan again. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play. And I did think about making the use of that Intel community, but... Or can you do that then and play 3 cards this turn? Yeah, maybe. Because we get 1 up for that too. Yeah. I get 1 up for this and I only need 1 up to do my deploy back to the track. Ooh, okay. Right, now, hold on, Grant. You're going to have to be careful here. Well, I did say I don't think I was going to use this card, because this could be the card, because I need 3 ops to do the regime change. Play a Pakistan ally, and mark with Fatah, remove Fatah. Man, obviously, Pakistan's not ally either. So maybe I do that then as well. Okay. Right, so do NATO, do that. Yeah. Do that. Okay. Right, okay, I'm going to play NATO then. I'm going to play NATO as my first card. And we're going to play it for the event. Okay. So NATO, the line steps up. Well, I've read the other stuff plenty of times already. Let's see if we can find the event here. It's 41. Let's just stretch across a bit. It might be a bit glary here. Where are we? There we are, NATO. Right. 2003, NATO command of a major portion of the counterinsurgency mission in Afghanistan led to an expansion of non-US forces there. The limitations that some countries placed on their forces initially meant that the US and a few key allies bore the brunt of operations against the Taliban Jihad. But as fighting spread throughout the country, non-US forces often suffered substantial casualties in hard-fought actions against the extremist enemy. So, there we go. Okay. Right, so NATO, the line steps up. Play if global terror penalty is 0 and a country has regime change. So global terror penalty is 0 because we're both, the world and the US are hard. We do have a regime change country in Afghanistan. So we're going to place 1 aid and NATO there. NATO is 2 troops. If it deploys, remove it. Right, so we're placing 1 aid. So we've got a cadre there. We've got +1 aid, which gives us a +1 to our War of Ideas rolls to hopefully improve the governance there. And then NATO, this wee counter's going in as well. If I can just put that into... Well, actually, you're going to be hopefully moving these troops shortly, Grant, anyway, aren't you? Okay. I'll put it up top there now, anyway. So that's an extra 2 troops. However, if I go to deploy the troops, that's my reading of that. If it deploys, remove it. Yeah, and it says mark there. And I think that's what... Well, no, it has to be in here, doesn't it? I mean, the events are meant to go up here, but we need to say where it is. So I think that's where you put it. Right, that's my first card play. So my second card play... hang on. Did I get everything there? Place 1 aid, NATO there, troops, deploys, remember. Right, okay. Is it really beneficial me putting an extra card? I think so. I think I can get 5 troops back to the track here. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try this, I think. It doesn't really... Well, it allows me to do an extra card, yeah, like you've said. Right, so I'm going to play Intel Community next, and I'm going to play it for the event. Okay, so we'll put that down there and have a look. So Intel Community is card number 18. Following 9/11, US intelligence resources devoted to counter-terrorism and understanding the Muslim world burgeoned, while structural reforms sought to break down barriers between US intelligence and law enforcement agencies that postmortems found had contributed to the 2001 disaster. Okay, so I'm playing this for the event. Inspect the jihadist's hand, right? I've already checked that you don't do that. Now, we conduct a 1-value operation, but I may interrupt this action phase now to play an extra card. So, I guess as I'm going to be able to come back and play this 1-value operation, but before I do that, I'm going to interrupt it. I don't know if this really made great things or not. And I'm going to interrupt it by playing this for the operations of 1. So I'm not playing the event. So I think what I'll do is I'll just put that down there. So I'm playing that for 1 ops, and then we'll get another 1 ops from that. And I'm going to do a deploy for 1 ops back to the troops track. Remember, the troops track is considered good, so it's only 1. So that's where I'm getting away with 1 ops. And then I'm going to do the deploy from Afghanistan. It says, if from regime change country, must leave at least 5 troops themselves unless withdraw. So I've got to leave 5 now, but we've got NATO there, so that enables me to move 3 of these and leave just 3 and NATO. And I suppose I should leave that on top. Okay. So these 3 are going back. It only cost me 1 ops to do that, and they move back to there. The troops marker stays where it is. Is that right? Yeah, it goes to the furthest right that's got less than 5 troops on it. Yeah, okay. So that goes back there. So troops track is good 1. Result, move any number of troops from 1 location on the board to the target. So I'll move them from there to there. Okay. Right, and that's still legal. I've left 5 troops there because we're counting the NATO. So hopefully I'm getting that right. Right, and then coming back to our Intel Community then. That was our interrupt, and now we've got a 1-value operation. So I'm going to use that 1 point to do another deploy. So, do we either go for Gulf States or Saudi Arabia? I mean, Gulf States is fair and Saudi Arabia is poor, but my knowledge of the game is pretty non-existent when it comes to which would be the best choice here. I sort of want to feel like the Gulf States because it's fair, but that might be the wrong way of thinking about it. Maybe protect them there, but... Anyway, well, I'll go with that. So I'm going to move them. So I'm going to deploy again. Back to the troops track again with that 1 ops point, taking the 2 from the Gulf States and putting them back as well Now, does that moves the marker, doesn't it? I think. Well, sorry, I'm not showing you that. So I put the 2 troops in there, and then I moved the marker back to low intensity, I think. Because it goes to the furthest right where there's less than 5 troops, I think. I'll double check that. I'm pretty sure it's right, but I will double check it. I mean, it's only going to be relevant when I go to draw my cards next turn. And to be honest, there's a good chance that these are going to be deployed again, because I mean, I'm setting up here to go into Iraq now. So, yeah. Okay, that was me, and I got to cheekily play 3 cards there, but I think we've done it okay. Looked like that's how it should have been done. Now in 5 minutes, I probably should cut it. So I'm going to cut it here with the jihadist player to go next. I'm more than likely just come straight back actually. So I'll just put an end to this part though. Maybe go and check and see if anybody's answered my question, but I feel more comfortable about it now that I've found the threads and it kind of cleared it up. So, okay, I'll be back shortly. Cheers.